I appreciate it.
We,
Yeah.
we yeah, we were going to talk about you, but we're here. We'll change the
Yeah.
agenda. Oh,
Let
hey,
me get
by the
off
way,
so you can start talking.
yeah, let me know if the that sermon AI thing is actually helpful.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're scaring me. I don't even want to hear it, man.
Well, it's a follow-up to let you know. I mean, it runs your notes through a good preaching rubric.
Yeah.
Oh,
It gives you feedback on what you potentially are missing or what is working.
oh,
So stuff like
interesting.
that is pretty helpful.
Interesting.
What did I call it? Because I can't find it now. I thought I called
Uh,
it preaching AI, but no, better preaching.
better preaching.
Oh, I
Better
heard of
preaching.
that. I heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's other ones out there that will be creative for you. I actually tried it once and I felt so gross after doing
Yeah.
it. Like, nope, not for me. And it's just like I can't let AI become the Holy Spirit. I've got to have that struggle with the text, struggle with the Lord, creative side of it.
Yeah.
And then something can come through and be like, you could have said this more effectively this way. And I actually did that on Sunday with actually a different follow-up one that I just made.
Mm.
And it was really helpful.
Yeah.
Um, so that just it helped me just it was a Carey Nieuwhof like cheat sheet. And so I said, run my sermon through Carey Nieuwhof's 10 steps for a more effective sermon.
Yeah.
And it said, your intro is weak. And it was right. So I corrected it. But I wrote it how I would say it, you know.
Sure.
Mhm.
And then it said, according to this, your sermon should be building towards one key point, not 10. It says
Yeah.
you have four key points
Yeah.
you need. So that was actually super helpful. So I haven't used Ariel's yet, but I'm excited to give it a try. So
Yeah, I'll show you really quickly. This is the one I put together. We did a training at the church I'm at. They did a training and they introduced this rubric on preaching, like a preaching rubric, like I'll have it actually right in front of me. So it's broken down into like four major categories, like content, structure, application, delivery. So content is exegesis, theology, the big idea, structure is intro, transitions, conclusion, application is illustrations, call to action, and then delivery is vocal quality, body language, authenticity. And so I took it plus some of the things that I've taught in the past, put it together and put it in here. And so this helps you, hey, if you're still working on your big idea. Like I always I have a big idea, but it sounds like a big slop. It's like, "Bleh." So I just throw it in there and then it helps me refine the language a bit. But this was a sermon that I did a couple weeks ago, and I thought it might have been one of my worst sermons in the history of sermons. Like I just like this was, but it gave me some pretty good understanding as to why. Um, so it's taking my notes that I copied in there from the sermon, and it's kind of rating it. And
Huh.
so my overall rating, so the other thing that it does is based on the rubric is it ranks your sermon based on whether it's developing, whether it's proficient or exemplary. Like did you hit all of the marks? You did okay, you know, and so, it gives me the scores on the exegesis, how I anchored on certain verses. So it does all of this evaluation, but what I really wanted was top five most important fixes. Like what are some things that I need to do differently? Um,
Do you know what I find though? Here's kind of the crazy thing. When a sermon is done and I feel like hiding under a rock on Monday morning because, I heard the sucking sound going out of the room. It was that bad. I will have 10 people come up to me and tell me it's the best sermon they've ever heard.
yeah,
Yeah.
I, I
So
I didn't have the same experience, but I understand what you're saying.
I that happens though, usually when I feel like I have just really failed. I and I tend to think what is going on is I know it when it's going on. While
Hmm.
you're preaching, you feel this thing going downhill, and the
Yeah.
humility just seems to overwhelm you. And I think that's what people see. And they're
Yeah.
like, what? It spoke, man, it spoke.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I don't know how. I got my letter of resignation ready.
Yeah.
Go, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I was in the same vein. So they have this feedback that keeps coming out of the monitors, and it threw me off because it was like I'm
yeah.
I'm saying it, and then I'm hearing what I just said, and so now my mind is on,
Do you just stop church then and go, hey, guys, you got to fix the monitors?
you know,
That's what
I
I that's what I've done. My mic is going crazy. You guys, you got to do something. And I just stop.
I was all I want to say I was also tired that night because it was a like a prayer meeting night.
Oh,
And so I remember that night I was exhausted. So I was already like not at my sharpest.
okay.
So I didn't do any of that. Honestly, I it was so distracting to me that instead of focusing on what I'm about to say, my thoughts were on something else. And it was almost like I was reading my notes, but not necessarily. It just, yeah, and it threw me off. And it's the second time that this echo happened. Thank God the first time it was actually during like we did like this um interview that they did of me and my wife and another couple for, like relationships and stuff. And, you just, I mean, I was just every time I wasn't talking, I was focused on the echo. I was like, I just said it and I hear myself saying it again.
Yeah.
I
I
but
have when that happens to me, I've just because everybody else hears it too.
Mhm.
All
Yeah,
you're doing is stating the obvious. It might the only guy in the whole place that might not hear it is the sound guy.
the sound guy. Yeah.
So I just stop. Like I've changed microphones mid, like this is nuts. I'm just going to grab a handheld.
Yeah.
And I found people appreciate that.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
awkward, but
It was for me, yeah.
I watched Bill Hybels do it one time. So I said, hey, I can do that too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Bill Bill Hybels is also he'll do whatever.
Yeah.
Or used to, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
you know. Uh, but anyway, it gives you some fixes and stuff like that, some suggestions, and all of it based on things that we've coached in the past, and just, hey, think of this, sharpen this idea, sharpen that, consider this. Um, I actually used it again this past week for a leadership training that I did, and it really helped me because what originally how my notes were laid out, it came across as if I was teaching five different leadership lessons. And so the challenge was you've got to have that one theme that ties everything back together. So
Yeah.
once I was able to communicate that one theme, then it just felt like everything else flowed more naturally. We were going over their leadership values. Um, so I'm walking their team through the leadership values, and it was like, it felt like seven different things until I kind of tied it all with one string, and then it felt like, oh, okay. And but honestly, I wasn't gonna catch that. So yeah. And what I
Cool.
want to do in the future is, like I was mentioning to Pastor Ryan, is have a app version that I can actually record myself preaching the sermon, so that way it gives me feedback. And I used to do that with a friend all the time. He would preach to me, I would preach it, like, and we just kind of, hey, when you said it this way, I don't know what you were talking about. I was like, oh, I better fix that.
That's the one I want is the live version or it picks up your message. That's the one I really want to focus on because yeah, I don't know. I think like Ryan, I don't want to have too much AI in my path. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, but yeah, so we'll continue our session.
All
Cool.
right. See you later, guys.
Bless you,
Pastor
man.
Ryan, thank you.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Bless you.
Bye. How did I know yesterday there was did you have a meeting or was it just a guys meeting on your own?
It was Jeff and Les and their wives, and I
Oh,
stayed
okay.
out of it. They invited me. I think um, Les and Mary Jo come out of assemblies,
Hmm.
and the at least here, and I know the current pastor, everything has to run through him.
Okay.
And so the other night when you corrected me and said, "Hey, this is a good opportunity for them to do this on their own because you're going to have the last say regardless." Um, A, great pressure comes off of me. I don't have to be there.
Hmm.
But Mary Jo asked me that night afterwards, and then she asked me Sunday again, "Well, Pastor, if you want to come and be there," and I'm like, "I absolutely do not. Thank you."
You heard Ariel, he said I shouldn't be there. So,
Yeah, Ariel said I couldn't do it. It was against the
can't do
rules.
it.
So I didn't throw you that far under the bus, but I was grateful for them to be able to do that on their own. So
Good.
yeah, our meeting last night.
Good, good, good. So did have you heard from the meeting or not?
Not yet.
Oh,
No. I think Les was starting to put some material together. He was waiting on some stuff from you. I see you got that out to him, so thank you for that.
yeah.
Um, Jeff already had some stuff he was putting together. I cornered Les on Sunday and I said, "Look, make sure that you're not planning on teaching everything. You know, you're don't take some of that away from me, man. I want to be able to teach some of it." I said, "You can teach some of it, but you can't teach it all. We got
Yeah.
to be helping people." And so it was really good to have that conversation with them before. And basically, I think what they were looking to do was just to get to know you because Les and Mary Jo are pretty new to the church. They're only been here about a year.
Yeah.
So, um, so
Wait,
yeah,
get to know me?
no, to get to know each other.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Sorry. Yep.
And what we're probably going to do is, as a leadership team, if we're going to meet with you every other week,
Hmm.
then those odd weeks we're going to meet with each other.
Oh,
So
nice.
we're going to start having those development meetings um, together just to be in the same room together.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Because
would
Jeff
think,
had a few things that came up as reds last week in our meeting.
yep.
He called me and he's like, "Listen, I got two reds here and they're really red.
Mm,
Like we didn't get to them. I need to get to them before Sunday." Cool. Give me a call. So we got together for a couple of hours last Thursday, I think, and
nice.
hammered out the reds for him. So it was
Yeah. So remind me, what was the two reds that they needed to?
well, they were just in reference to um, connections ministry and Easter Sunday.
Okay.
You know, and you and I we had been talking of kind of a brainstorming that this is going to be, we
The
want Jeff,
scoreboard thing. Yeah.
we want connections. And so that was on the paper,
Yeah.
during our meeting. They had not seen it at all because you and I had had that conversation, and they're both kind of in a panic, like, "Wait a minute, what do you want us to do? What are we talking about?" So I'm like, "Okay, take a breath. This is Pastor Ariel and myself. Don't, don't lose it. We're trying to get stuff on the paper." And
Yeah.
Jeff is okay with that because he is very familiar with, again, his career has been built on um, bringing businesses past the glass ceiling.
Mm,
That is what he has done. And it's always manufacturing. It's always about um, salesmen are outselling the performance. They're promising product. They're really good at selling, but the business can't produce. So it's very much what we're dealing with right now. We're making promises of getting people involved and hey, we're moving to the next step, but we don't have the next step. So
Yeah.
he is very comfortable in this space. His
Mm.
wife, not so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So she is like, the reds for her were really red. They were blinking, flashing,
Yeah.
head around the reds. So what does he want us to do? So it was good. And so that's why I think we're going to look at having additional meetings on the alternate week.
That's
So
perfect. Yeah. So just when we do the deadlines, like, hey, here's a task, here's a deadline, just remind me, because that way we can make sure that since you guys are going to meet, we schedule
sure,
some of it. Hey, okay, meet next week and talk about one, two, and three. And,
sure.
and then I think some meetings in between can also start bringing in some of the other team members.
Yeah.
So once Les kind of feels good about, I don't know, membership class or whatever, the new believers class, then maybe one of those in between weeks are him meeting with potential teachers or
Yeah.
administrators, so that way we can start building that team out.
I think right now the big um, push is for less is going to be putting together material because he is new to Christian fellowship,
Mm,
comes from assemblies. He's afraid of overstepping his bounds as far as spiritual gifts and where we're going and what we're doing. And
mm,
so he's going to be in that whole, his big concern is just development. What are the keys? And so the good part is that Jeff and I have had a lot of experience together for a number of years. Jeff knows my heart. And so if he and Jeff are working together,
yeah,
uh, just it's gonna help. So
yeah,
it's gonna work. It's gonna flow well, I think. But getting that, I think you're right. Getting those deadlines and stuff of that, so that we know, is really going to be a benefit for us.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I did feel like, and I can't remember if we talked about that meeting, but I walked away from that meeting feeling really excited. Like,
yeah.
all right, everybody seems to really get it and they're on board and they're all in. Um, where sometimes I come out of those meetings and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to work harder because no one understands why they need to talk to each other.
Oh, and I think when Gerald and Shelley get back, we're gonna we're probably gonna end up, which would be next week. We're probably gonna end up just trying to figure out the flow of the connect and serve. I
Mm,
think they will communicate well. I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think there's going to be a fear of who's leading the ushers and what's going on there. That's going to be an issue. My wife after Tuesday night, um, she just said, I really do want to be a part.
mm,
So um, I think she has to get through this school year. I
yeah.
don't know if I've told you, but my wife resigned her position in the
Oh
school.
no.
Yeah. So she's been teaching our entire married life, and she just can't take it anymore. Just the chaos, and she really has been struggling with the current administration in the school. And
Mm.
so they offered a buyout, and she took it.
Okay.
So um, so she is, but she does homework. I'll give you an example of the chaos that this administration, school administrators have done. For years, they had three music teachers and six grades, K through five. So my brain says one teacher gets kindergarten first, one gets second and third, one gets fourth and fifth. What they do is every teacher sees every student every week. So every teacher has six grades to prepare for.
Wow. That is, yeah.
Bizarre, bizarre. And then they drop down to two teachers, and it's gotten even worse. So she just, and this is not just 1 year, hey, we're going to try this. They've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, and she's had it. She's just cooked, and rather than uh, go clear to emotional burnout, I've been encouraging her for the last 5 years to quit. So well, it's one of the reasons we built a new house
Yeah. Yeah.
out of the house. We were able to, we will be, when we're finished here, we'll be completely debt free.
Nice.
So if she doesn't work, or if she's working at Walmart, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that the good thing is it may get her to a place where she's just not carrying the burden of stress. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. So she wants to engage and be a part, but she needs to get through this school year.
okay. Yeah.
And I told the other team members that, and they're really grateful because they want her a part. So
Yeah.
that was
Good.
cool. That was
Good,
cool.
good, good. I love that. I think that that's important. And even just for you, I mean, the reality is that our wives have a tendency of seeing things we don't see.
Absolutely.
And it just makes it even better for us,
Yeah.
you know. Okay. Are you good for, and you're good for,
Good
gosh,
Friday.
yes. I don't know why Good Friday escaped me. I wanted to say Palm Friday, but that's a new one.
Yeah. So I did I show you the card last week that we did for Good Friday? Maybe I didn't.
I don't think so. I know you mentioned you were doing a card and you were connecting like a nail to it, but that was the,
Right. So we did that. Palm Sunday was just you know, kind of a whirlwind for us because um, I did the history. Then this is what happened on Monday. This is what happened on Tuesday. We
okay,
kind of
Holy Week.
we talked about me doing that weekly deal or a daily deal, and I'm not going to be able to get that accomplished this year. But
Mm,
we did baptisms. Then we built that, and at the end, I showed a video, and then we handed out that card. Well, the card is a reminder of Good Friday. It's
mm,
got the nail on it, and on the back side is Sunday morning.
nice.
So we've got the team in place for cooking on Sunday morning. The thing about Good Friday is um, good, bad, or otherwise. Um, I basically carry that load because all I really need is a sound guy. We don't do worship. We don't do snacks. I really don't even have ushers. We don't take an offering. I do nothing on Good Friday but tell a story.
Yeah, nice.
The one thing I am going to do different, and I need to talk to our men's group on Thursday, is I'm going to have them start with a scripture. It's going to be kind of flash mob style.
Yep, yep.
I'm going to give them a cue. I want them all to stand up, say the same scripture, and then sit down.
Nice.
So that's kind of a new thing for Good Friday. But I would say that I'm strong green. Matter of fact, yesterday I had to be here at home because of some stuff that was going on around the house. And so it gave me time. I actually got my message for Good Friday finished and I got
Mm,
uh, Sunday started. So
nice. Good.
I'm farther along now than normal. It's
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good.
yeah,
I mean, and I was gonna say that I love to hear that because it means that hopefully some of the other things that typically would have to catch your attention are taking a back seat to this because this is huge.
yeah. So the other thing I wanted to just throw at you or thank you for is during Palm Sunday, at least 3 times I was able to say, "Hey, here's something else that you can invite people to."
Mm,
So it was the week before Palm Sunday. That's what it was. And so we just addressed. So the week before Palm Sunday, I did a baptism series. I did a baptism message, and
mm,
um, I do that baptism message at least once a year.
mm,
So I did a baptism message, and I told people. Man, you need to invite somebody to come to this. My job over the next 6 months is to give you as many opportunities to invite people to church as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So then we talked about Good Friday, and oh, by the way, you should invite somebody to Good Friday. And then
Mm.
I hit during the course of my message, instead of during the announcements, during the course of my message, I talked about Easter Sunday, and I'm like, hey, by the way, here's a chance to invite somebody to breakfast and you don't even have to pay. You know what I mean? So uh, just that thought has really, really hit my heart strong. So I just want to say thanks for that. That's big. That's big.
Yeah. I love that. And honestly, I think part of it is helping people see that they are part of the Great Commission or the fulfillment of the Great Commission. Like you've got people around you,
Yeah.
friends and family and stuff that may have heard the gospel, may have not, not sure where they stand with Jesus. And man,
Well,
don't waste the opportunity.
that's what I went back to each time. Now you mentioned that was uh, this is an opportunity for you to invite your friends to hear about Jesus, to hear the gospel, to hear the good news. The baptism one was really kind of cool because I got a guy who's been coming to church for about 4 years and he's been wanting to get baptized, but he's had this thing in his mind that he wants it to be in a lake and he wants me and he wants another guy. And like I couldn't even look at him on Sunday morning because I know that the Holy Spirit's just so 2 weeks ago when I get done preaching, he's like, okay. And he's like, I gotta do it. Well, he had this friend that he wanted. I said, invite him. So the friend came, and then I found out 2 days later his son wanted to get baptized. So
Mm,
I so the dad doesn't know that the son's getting baptized. The son doesn't know that the dad's getting baptized. The son's got kids of his own, he's an adult.
yeah.
So I'm like, I told them both, invite people. So man, we were packed. I mean, we were packed on Sunday
Love it.
because of that baptism. And so I told Jeff and Chris, I said, I want you to line them up and I want dad first and then I want son next because this guy's going to help me baptize dad, his good friend. I want dad to help me baptize the son.
Yeah.
And everybody's crying. I'm crying. The son's crying. The dad's crying. The neighbors are crying. Everybody in the first three rows are crying. I mean, I hate to make some of those things just seem like this emotional manipulation, but there is great emotion and you don't have to manipulate anybody, man. It's just
Mhm.
people's hearts coming out. So that
Yeah.
was very cool. It was very,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. I just think of that and it's like um who I wonder what the conversation afterwards were like.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like,
Well, the cool part was like I asked him Sunday morning. He's like, his son came in wearing shorts. He's like, man, Casey's getting baptized. I said, yeah, I know. I said, he's getting baptized after you. Do you want to be part of that? And he just chokes up right away. And he's like, because he had a, they had a tough childhood. He was not a very good dad. And so now, it was just crazy. It was just, and I'll bet you there was 10, at least 10, probably 12 people that were there that the dad had invited and then the son had invited and they didn't know. Some people got invited from both and they're like, you guys don't even know what's going on, do you? So it was quite a deal, man, quite a deal. So I feel so privileged just to be able to participate in it. Yeah,
yeah.
and encouraging people, invite somebody, invite somebody, invite somebody.
Yeah. I think it's
Sorry, that's not on your agenda today. I get it, but that was just a real win for us this weekend. So
no, that's huge. Honestly, it messes me up because every time I hear stuff about father and son, I keep imagining, I always put my son's face in it. So
yeah,
I'm like, man, I can't imagine what that dad must have felt like. To even to feel like man, I probably wasn't the absolute best and I've screwed things up. But God, you're in the process of redeeming things.
Exactly.
Like, oh my goodness, you're such a good God. Thank you for your mercies. Thank you.
And they started, so this son and his wife had, I was part of their wedding. His wife grew up in our church. His son grew up in an Alliance church.
Mhm.
That whole family was part of the Alliance church. It was great. It's a great church in town. They do a great job. Um, and so I was part of the wedding. So I was introduced to the family, but 2 years later, when they had a little one, I was doing a series on Revelation
Mm.
and they wanted to do a baby dedication. So they invited the family. And so that was the first time his mom and dad ever heard me preach. Aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, the whole family was there, heard me preach and saw the service. And when they became part of the service, they're like,
Yeah.
we got to start, we got to move this direction. So it took them a year or so before they finally became and fully engaged at Christian Fellowship. And now there's 10, 12, 14 people because of that one baby dedication. So the whole thing is really big all the way across. It takes the last 7 or 8 years and it just ties them all together for this family. So I mean, mom was in tears and grandma was in tears and it was just an amazing morning. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
one. That was just one. We had 10 people that were
Yeah. Yeah.
multiple stories that way. So I love baptism, man. I love baptism.
Yeah. No, I love it. And here's what I would consider doing. If it wasn't Resurrection Sunday this Sunday, I would tell you to do it this Sunday. Um, but maybe 2 to 3 weeks from now, you can kind of recount a bit of the story for people, but you use it as a charge. Hey, they would have never came here if they didn't, if someone didn't invite them to a baby dedication,
Right. Right.
you know. Um, and so again, you've heard me say, it's going to be my business to give you every opportunity, but I want to challenge you, right? Because we got to meet each other halfway. We're gonna make opportunities. We're gonna figure stuff out. But this, this is what it looks like when you take advantage of these opportunities,
Yeah.
right?
Great plan. Great plan. Yeah.
Because they've
I got,
got yeah, it's a visual sermon.
yeah,
You don't even really have to preach it. Just, man, you saw it. You saw it,
exactly.
but it's
Exactly.
because someone was willing to make an invitation to an event. And so I'm saying this in two ways. One is when you get an opportunity to do that, but the other thing in the back of your mind, I want you to always be thinking about how do I reinforce this message of invite somebody? What are the opportunities to demonstrate and to celebrate? So another opportunity might be, let's say the week after Easter, let's say you get 10 first-time guests this upcoming Sunday. The week after, I'm going to tell the congregation, man, we had 10 first-time guests last week. Do you know what that says to me? It says 10 of you made a decision to invite somebody. 10 of you, or whatever the number is, right?
Okay.
I am reminding you that you are doing an amazing job, but I'm celebrating it publicly because I don't want it to just be 10 people who help. I want every single one of us to see ourselves as part of the work that Christ is doing in the
Yeah.
transformation of the community. And you don't have to have a degree in theology. You don't need an MDiv. You don't need to be a pastor. You don't need a title as a deacon. You just need to know a friend who doesn't know Jesus and a date that you can give them to come. That's
Yeah.
it, right? Make it simple, lower the bar in some respects, dumb it down so
Yep.
that way everybody in the room feels like, I think I can do that. Right.
Yeah. That's a good, see, I miss those opportunities. I just don't think of that, but my head is going back there. I used to. That's what the last church I was part of, we were very, very secret oriented and we were intentional about it all the time. But that was my senior pastor that was. I
Yeah.
was not, I wasn't that guy. He did it all the time.
Yeah.
So I just need to be reminded that that's where we need to be. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what'll happen too, Pastor, is forgive me, I'm like so tight here. Um, is that as the team takes on the consistency of what they're doing and stuff is developing, you're going to have to think less and less about those things.
yeah,
So it's going to free up your mind to think of, okay, awesome. We got all of these things moving. What's next for the ministry? What's our next opportunity? What do we need to do to continue to reach people? What do we need to do to, what's God, what do you have for us? What, right? It just, when your mind is cleared from some of the day-to-day stuff, it opens up to what's that next thing that you want us to accomplish, Lord. And it could be an event, but it could be a launching a new ministry. It could be a change in the culture. It could be some shifts that you feel. You may have a deeper burden even for the men and say, men, we need to do a luncheon for business owners, men, and this is a new demographic we're going to reach and help and support. Whatever it is, it gives you room for more of that.
the last church I was at, one of the things that freed the pastor up to do was to begin planning more creative series. He would do a series. For example, we did one time called guardrails or
Mhm.
road signs, maybe road signs. And then we had somebody who was very artistic in the congregation who made a yield sign and a stop sign and a guardrail. And man, we're putting
Yeah.
those on walls. And every week you're inviting somebody because of this, just because of the artistic, because of the creative, because we're going
Yeah.
I know that that's in me, and I know that I've been part of that. I've seen that. But when you're the one doing it all, and again, that's not
Yeah.
martyrdom me, but it's just a reality.
Yep.
Um, then what I end up doing is doing nothing.
Yeah.
You kind of, I know I should be doing classes. If I'm not going to be able to get those done, so I don't do that, and then I feel guilty that I'm not doing that. I don't get anything else done either. So it's I'm looking forward to the team helping out here and really, and I think they're gonna jump on board. They're there. So
Yeah, and I love the idea of being able to plan out more series, and I always side with I so years ago I hired a small groups coach, 20 maybe 20 years ago now. Um, and I remember him saying to me, you guys spend 10, 12 hours on a sermon maybe, and you preach it for 30, 40 minutes. Maybe you do it for two services, and then you're done. That's it. Said, what if you look beyond the actual delivery of the sermon on a Sunday and started to think about, well, how else can we use this content? I
yeah,
just spent hours in the presence of the Lord, hearing from him a message that might be transformative, helpful to people, and we're only using it for 30 minutes to a select audience who might even forget by the time the service is over your main point. What can you do? And that started to make me think about, man, um, how do we turn some of this stuff into ongoing curriculum for groups,
yeah,
right? How do I use this on social media? Can this become a devotional that we release? Now with AI, right? Some of the stuff that we talked about, like this, give me a sermon, transcribe it, turn it into a small groups reading plan. Done. 10 seconds, right?
we do that now with
Mhm.
the sermon shots.
Yes, 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 yes. Sermon shots. Yeah,
Ryan turned me on to that about a year ago. I have people now I think would leave the church if we quit doing sermon shots. They
yeah,
just I have one lady who got up and gave a testimony a month ago about it. And she's just like, This is my copy of what I got Sunday morning. And I mean, it is notes on notes. She does it with three friends in two different states. She gets them stuff and they're on the phone and they're doing these devotionals. And now we have people watching us online that have never been in the church because of sermon shots and or shorts,
Mm.
whatever it is. And so people are taking those to heart. So, and I'm seeing people carrying around their soap journals
Yeah.
every morning. Not everybody. We handed out 200 of them or 160 of them, I guess, 170. But I probably see 40 of them on a Sunday morning. People carrying them around, taking notes. Hey, can I get more of these when this is filled up? Yeah, yeah, we can do that. Let me think about that. Let me pray about it.
Let me
Yeah,
pray about it. Yes.
I might have to fast. No, I don't. It's good. We can do that. Yeah. So it's amazing to me. It's just amazing.
But and those are the things that I mean, like as we transfer over responsibility to people, those are the things that you're going to be able to think about, execute, and it's like how do we continue to get God's word deeper and deeper entrenched in the lives of people, you
Yeah.
know? And I love that somebody is doing a Bible study conversation with people who are not even part of the church,
Yeah.
but it's just, man, this is just family. It's like,
Yep.
you know, I used to I had a guy when we used to do small groups, he would always ask me, he was like, "Hey, can I do this curriculum with my grandkids and my daughter?" I was like, let me think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. It's like, is this like a small group? Is that okay? Let me pray about it again. Yes. Jesus said, yes, you can do it with your family. And yes, we will coach you. And yes, we will help you, you know,
Exactly. Exactly.
you know, but that's kind of what I'm hearing you say is the next level in some respects is, you know,
Well, here is a standard that I hold. Um, I think I believe in the core of my being that it is our responsibility to feed the sheep.
mhm,
I will not tolerate somebody getting up and giving a half-hearted message.
mhm,
So when I've had that happen, I correct it immediately. I will go to the individual and say, listen, I love you. I'm going to critique your message. It sounded like you took that from a devotional, and we're not going to do that. We have an obligation to present meat from this pulpit every week. Don't
yeah, yeah,
don't. And so I hold all of our speakers to a pretty high standard. And when they don't do that, then they don't speak often. If they're willing to put in the effort and come around. I have one fellow in particular who years ago thought he was going to be the associate pastor, and we were really seeking the Lord and praying about it. And that was one of the things was getting up and speaking, and he would
mm,
mail it in, and I'm like, I refuse to let you do that. I
yeah,
would love to have you speak. I know that you seek the Lord. I know that you're got your devotion time, but I will not let you shortchange this congregation or yourself. So if you're going to get up and speak again, and he hasn't spoken since.
mm,
Uh, I continue to ask him. The ball is in his because he had done a couple that were good, but he just got to where he got lazy. And
yeah,
I can't.
yeah,
So that being said, there was a point behind this. That being said, um, it's why we went to the sermon shots.
mhm,
If anybody wants my notes, I make copies of my notes available. You can use our sermons for any number of Bible studies that you want to. We make that pretty clear to our congregation. And I've made it, maybe it's been more clear to our leaders.
mhm,
Feel free. use the series. I'm doing a series on Ephesians. I'm doing a series on James. You feel free. I'll get you the notes you do. So we actually did do a Sunday night for about, oh, I'd say about 3 years we did Sunday nights. And one of the rotations that we would do, because we'd use a video and then we would do, we did 7-minute sermons where you'd get 5 people or they can get up and do
Nice.
a 7-minute sermon.
Yeah.
But then one of the ones that we did was sermon notes. And so Jeff was teaching, but he was teaching off of my notes
Mm.
Monday night to take it to that next level. So we've done some of that, and I suspect that in this next season we get teams more ingrained because just like all the things that fallen to me, that all fell on Jeff.
Yep.
Could
Yep.
only last as long as Jeff could last. And after 3 years, he's like, I'm cooked. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm guessing as we get some teams available that some of those ideas are going to come back.
Yeah. I'm hearing that. The other thing I'm thinking of is obviously you mentioned it, but maybe there's some sort of by invite only preaching, teaching cohort that you're kind of just you meet with on a regular basis.
I'm working on putting that together.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, as you're putting sermon series together, this is how I always think is, you know, help me as a dad to take that content and use it as a devotional with my kids,
Okay.
and I know what it looked like for me with my boys. You know, I don't pretend to, know exactly what it should look like, but I know for me and my wife, like right now, our church released a devotional for the week. And it's not, I mean, it's a reading plan. It's not even really a devotion, it's a reading plan.
Okay.
So we've been w walking through Holy Week with our kids, with our boys,
Okay.
right? So it's like, here's Holy Week, and then boom, why did you think Jesus said this? Like the other day we had a discussion over why did Jesus curse the
Fig tree.
thank you, the fig tree. I was gonna say the prune tree. I was like, what is the fruit? I never eat it. What is it called? Uh, the fig tree, and that was an interesting conversation, just to kind of this idea of having leaves, but not having any fruit. So you give the appearance like everything is good.
But it wasn't the season.
It wasn't the season. It wasn't, but it does say that it had the leaves.
You
So
had to leave.
it was like, man, there are things that Jesus is expecting that may or may not necessarily make sense to us, but you
Yeah,
know,
I avoid that passage of scripture.
you know, yeah, I, yeah. I mean, I can't skip it when it's just me and the boys, right? Although I will say there are some moments where I read something, I'm like, oh, this is really hard. All right, guys, let's pray. I won't even give them a chance to ask a question.
Confession's good for the soul, brother.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to answer any of these questions that I think are gonna come up. All right, guys, let's pray. It's late. They're like, Dad, it's not even 8 o'clock. It's late, boys. It's time to go to bed. Let's
I'm
pray.
dead tired tonight.
Yeah. But I think these are the things that I think as we continue to work the team component, um, it'll really give us the freedom to do those
One
things.
of the things that I want to work on so I don't really have a communications team. I have guys that I call on. Scott Eiley will teach, one of our elders. Jeff will teach. Barry will teach. We've got different guys, and up until just recently, I have an associate pastor who stepped down, so he would teach. But what we've always done here is I might be doing a series, and then they come in and they just teach whatever the Holy Spirit's put on their heart,
Mhm.
which is fine. What we did in the church that I came from was we prayed together as a team about what's the direction, where are we headed. And so sometimes my senior pastor would go, Tim, you just you have better insight on this. So here's the series. You teach this section of the series. I'll teach this section. And that's what I want to get to with these guys is have them be so on board that we're able to teach the same series
Hmm.
and they're just taking a component of it because they either have a testimony that goes down that line, God has used them in
Yeah.
that area, that it's not Tim's doing a series and then I'm filling in and and doing this. I want them to be able to be part of the whole structure of it for continuity.
Yeah. Yeah. And and the other thing that I always think of is what we used to do, is I would do these series in groups, with small groups. Um, so literally, like, let's say it's we would do a series in October. Um, we would go, let's say Ephesians. I don't know why Ephesians is the one that I always think of. But we would go through Ephesians. So all of the month of September, well, August, I'm doing teacher training or training with my small group leaders. I'm recruiting small group leaders in August, and I'm training small group leaders in August. September, I'm doing, I'm working on filling these groups. So I'm doing a big launch for small groups. We're going to do this series. It's going to be one, two, three, whatever the series is going to be. Then, as we're putting the series together, I am doing, I'm looking at Ephesians, for example, and I'm pulling out 8 major points that I want to cover. 4 of them I'm covering on Sunday. The other 4 that are interlapping are I'm covering at groups. So it
Oh,
almost feels like if you miss out on groups, you're not getting the entire series. So you've
oh,
got to be a part of this. Um, so again, I always think of Ephesians because I spent some time on that and I did it a couple of times. And then and then and then the other part is whenever I'm doing groups, I am doing again the soap journals that line up with the series because I need to make sure that my groups, I want them reading.
sure,
I want them to develop. And so the first question in the groups is, hey, so you have this reading plan for this week. What has God been speaking to you this week? Right.
sure,
And then we go into the content, the video, the whatever it is that's being taught, you know, so I do all of that because again, first of all, when you have the time to breathe, then you can think about a series ahead of time,
right.
you know. Um, but it
Excuse
gets us,
me, I have to take a call. I'm supposed to have an appointment today and I just have to take this.
yeah, go for it.
Hello, this is Tim. Hi, Sean. That's correct. That's all plan on. Oh. Yeah, that's what I have on my calendar. Thanks, Sean. Bye-bye. I normally wouldn't take that, but this is a real
No
extreme
worries.
case. So she just wanted to confirm an appointment today and I needed to do that. So,
No problem. No problem. Um, but yeah, so that, I think what that'll allow us to do is even, um, I always have mixed emotions about this. But like at the church I'm at now, they already are planning the sermons next year. Like they're already ahead a year. Again, I have mixed emotions about it because I'm like, like you got to build some flexibility into this thing.
um,
Now, the one thing I will say to their credit is that whether it's because they prayed or they heard from the Lord or they were just really, really, really smart, all that they've planned up to this point has kind of worked perfectly, even with the season, you know. Um, so like they did a series on Nehemiah.
okay.
focused on the gates. It talks about chapter 3, the gates
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
restored.
I just did a series on Nehemiah this past year.
Yeah, so he intentionally did it that the east gate was the gate that he covered on Palm Sunday,
Good move.
right?
Good.
And I'm sitting back and I'm like, I'm listening to him, and I'm like, man, this freaking guy's a genius. Like, wow, that was good. You know, such a good timing. And then it also worked out that he mentioned I think the guy's name was Sulan or Suleiman the Great. He was like a Muslim that put about 18, I don't know if it was 18 feet of cement around the East Gate, but he cemented the East Gate in the
Yes.
1500s.
Yep.
Now, my son has been studying that. So he turns to me, he's like, that's what I'm studying. I mentioned X, Y, and Z to you, Dad, about that guy. And,
Oh,
and so it was like, now my son's engaged in the sermon because you just mentioned this extra biblical character that cemented the East Gate, because the gate is considered the gate that when the Messiah returns, he's going to enter into Jerusalem through that gate.
the
And then,
Christ gate. The,
yeah,
Mess- the Christ gate, I think is what they call that.
and then he put all of these, he turned the outside of the gate into a Muslim cemetery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either till Sunday. So he did all of that in essence to keep the Messiah from coming back or delaying the return of the Messiah.
Wow.
Because, you know, because the thought is that he's going to return, and he referenced, I can't remember, he referenced Ezekiel, Zechariah, but the idea that the presence of, the Lord came in and then it exited through the east gate, and then you have Palm Sunday when he enters through the east gate, the triumphal entry. So so all of that, it was like, wait, when did you plan this, and how many?
I would love to be, I used to be about 3 months ahead. And I think when I was at Highlands, Church of the Highlands, they talked about doing a year at a time. Said you should be able to plan a year's worth of sermons in, one meeting. And I'm like, yeah, right. You know, I do think it would be possible if you sit down with the team to actually do some of that. But when you're doing it solo and
Mhm.
you're just, I wouldn't say that so I went on sabbatical about 8 years ago. I went for 2 months, and it's the first time I've ever been on sabbatical. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to do. I actually planned the first month while my wife was still in school. She didn't believe I was going to do it. She's
Yeah,
like, yeah, right. And I actually, so um, when I went back after the sabbatical, I thought maybe I was done with ministry because I realized then that I'm planning about 6 sermons in my head all the time.
yeah.
I took 2 months off. I planned for none.
Mm,
I came back. I felt like the well was dry, like the anointing was gone, and maybe it was done. Maybe that was just the end. I really struggled until I realized how my brain works. Well, I would really like to get some of that stuff on paper 6 months ahead. Again, when I first came here, I did about 3 months at a time, but I've
yeah.
just not been able to keep that
Rhythm.
pace, everything. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I think definitely that's something we want to aim towards, to get to that place where we can be ahead. Um, Pastor Pat, my 11 o'clock is here. I'm gonna
okay,
I'm gonna
yep,
add him to the group here. Um, but yeah, I think as we plan it, as we continue to work the teams, and it'll give us the freedom to just plan ahead, so that way we can get to that point.
yeah,
But I think we're progressing in that direction.
yep. I agree. I'm grateful, and I'll meet with either Jeff or Les on Thursday, and
Okay.
or maybe both of them, and we'll figure out how their meeting went the other night. So
Yeah, let me know, and then we're on Monday night, right?
Monday night, yep, yep. All
Pastor
right,
Tim, have you met Pastor Troy? Pastor Troy, have you met Pastor
yep.
Tim?
We have met once before,
Okay.
I think.
Yep.
So
Good to see you again, Pastor Tim.
you too, Troy. Bless you, man. All
Thank you. Thank
right,
you. Likewise.
I'm going to step out here and let you guys get at it. I don't want to hold you up.
All
All
right,
right, man.
Pastor.
You
Have a
have a great
great
Easter.
Happy resurrection to y'all. Bye.
happy resurrection. Enjoy.